Hello, everyone. I'm Jose Ortega, and welcome to the Market Challenge and the battle of the top 50 companies. Thank you for joining us today here at Newconomy Conference, where we will be talking to many experts in the field and get their thoughts and see who they voted for and what they think about the individual projects in the space as a whole. Before we get started, I want to thank our sponsors at BitPax today. Today, we have Athanasios from Lapo.io. Welcome, Athanasios.
Thank you for the invitation, guys, and the opportunity to giving me to participate in that competition and help you choose the best companies in the blockchain fintech area. How can I be of help to you?
Well, yeah, thank you for joining us today. You're already doing a lot by joining us today and taking time from your day to give us your expert opinion on all these things. So before we get started, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and tell us a little bit more about Lapo.io?
Sure. I'll start by explaining briefly Lapo. Lapo is an ecosystem. It's a fintech company, an ecosystem of financial services, including money transfer, money transactions. The company has got its own developed blockchain and wallet, and is moving to stage 2, where one of the most important things it would be to create the stabilization mechanism behind its utility token, the Lapo X. Now, the whole idea here is to create a mechanism that differentiates it from the rest of the stable coins, where it absorbs volatility and creates value by converting this volatility, the market volatility, into a real asset, hence increasing the value of the coin. And my role in the company as Chief Investment Officer is to draft this, to design this system, and with the help of the IT team to implement it, as well as implement the liquidity mechanism of the coin.
Cool. Sounds wonderful. Thanks. Can you tell us a little bit about the fintech market at the moment and things that maybe we should know about going forward?
In my opinion, there are 3 major challenges that the fintech is facing, and in my belief will continue to face in the short to medium term. One has to do with data, the General Data Protection Act, where nowadays you will not be able to use the users' data as you used to previously, and that might be putting the brakes a bit on the growth rate and actually on how data could be used in order to reach conclusions, whatever conclusions this would be, that relate to the specific business of fintech company. So this is the number 1 challenge. I think the second challenge will have to do with security. Fintech is not a mature industry. It is a byproduct of the banking moving into the high technology. While traditional banking is pretty secure in the sense that is bricks and mortars, and unless you go into rob a bank, it's very difficult actually to rob a bank. However, with fintech, you have much smaller companies that they don't have high security budgets, or budgets that can allocate for security. So they have to be innovative, they have to be much more agile in order to find a way hackers, professional hackers that will go after them. And the problem might not be so much when a company is tiny, small, but it gets bigger when the company comes onto the radar, and that could be an exchange for cryptocurrencies, or it could be something else, or an investment crypto bank or something like that. So security is the second major issue. And the third issue, which I think we're going to experience, is the following. We're making a quant leap right now from the traditional one-to-one human interaction with some software in front of your laptop or your PC in a branch, in a bank branch, into a humanless, faceless bot that interacts with you. And although that might be okay for the new generation, for people who are 25 and below, might not be exactly okay for someone who is in his 50s when you try to persuade her or him to change their bank account and leave a traditional bricks and mortars bank and go into a FinTech company that is less than 10 years old when the other institutions have been around probably for maybe 100 years. So we have to think wisely, and maybe in this transitional state include also a human factor. For example, at the help desk, when things go sour, you need to have a human voice from the other side with empathy that understands the problem and is willing to go one step further and help this customer that may not be as highly IT educated, for example. I think these are the three major challenges: the data protection, challenge that you have going forward, the cybersecurity, and also the human interaction.
Yes. I mean, I totally agree with you. Privacy and security are two major things that, we're dealing with at the moment, with the old legacy system, and now, creating this new system in which we need to, fix these problems. And so, and then now, now within our space, we're starting to realize that privacy is a major concern. You know what I mean? Like where, sure, Bitcoin and certain blockchains, where, we see everything, that's wonderful and great. But at the same time, it's like, there's a lot of room and space, for people that they care about their privacy, because
Sure.
not everybody wants to have their bank account on a public ledger. You know what I mean? They don't want
Sure.
every single little things like that.
And it's also a point of how you communicate the message and what is the message we communicate. I have the impression right now, and it's actually quite logical because this industry is trying to differentiate itself on some basis, and the principles and good strengths of blockchain have to do also with technology. So the technology message is being portrayed again and again. The privacy that you have, you cannot alter the ledger, etc. But we need also to understand that for the average Joe Block in the street, that makes little difference because there is little understanding of the technology. She or he has to feel the benefit of, is it secure? Yes. Is it fast? Yes. Can I have the transaction right now? Yes. So also the message has to be distilled down to actual benefits to the user, and not only to the strength of the technology itself.
Yeah. And then, to add, one last point, to what you were saying at the end, now as we transition from the old system to the new system, we have, again, like younger people, they don't mind, just dealing with a machine or an algorithm, and especially if they know that, that it's a trustless thing, where no other human interaction will get in the way, and they know that they will get the result that they want. You know what I mean? Like, sure. Like a smart contract type of thing. But as the older we get, it's a lot harder to understand that because we can't, we can't fathom an idea as to where there's no other human in the way. But again, most of us that are in this space, we're trying to push that human out of the way. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's great to have a smile.
We have to do it in a clever way.
We want to get stuff
in
done.
A balanced way.
And a lot of times what happens is that, we call, somebody, you know what I mean, for that help. And even though there's a human on that side, they're reading a script, they're reading like a robot. So it's like, it kind of drives you crazy. Where it's like, man, I wish this was, I wish I didn't have to deal with any of this. You know what I mean? I wish it was just more black and white.
Well, maybe the answer to the observation that you just made comes, the extension to the observation you just made comes as the answer to the question that you put forward, what I see for the future of FinTech. FinTech is a prime candidate for evolution based on AI and subsequently machine learning and deep learning. And these problems might go away sometime in the future. I think they will go away sometime in the future when we have machine learning and expressed as part of an AI that is very human friendly. Which could be able to maintain a level of discussion that will pass the Turing test. You wouldn't know if you're speaking to a machine or a human being because it would have a depth, the discussion, it would have color, and it will be able to react based on your pitch of your voice, the interpretation of your feelings, and the context of your inquiry. as well. So in that stage, I think that FinTech will apply a great deal of AI going forward, and it will have semantic and drastic changes in the way this industry is evolving.
I totally agree with you. As crazy as that might sound, we are creating machines, with AI learning that have empathy, that have the ability to learn, that have all these abilities. And just to finish on this topic, as the humans, the humans now are becoming more robotic, and the robotics are becoming more human. So,
yes, well, maybe it's a convergence.
Yeah,
Some might call it singularity.
So speaking of which, speaking of the future, where do you see the space going? Where do you see like the whole space going into the future?
Well, I suppose that boils down again into the same thing. There's a conversion towards more advanced technology that it's driven by AI. It will be a time of competitive survival race where the last man standing would be the winner takes it all kind of thing. I don't think there would be too many cases of the second and third place, only because of the nature of this kind of business and the depth and competitiveness that will be given through the technology, the application of technology. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the next unicorns coming out from this industry. And increasingly in a much faster rate than, for example, it took for Airbnb to become a unicorn.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. It's like as each day moves on, things are going faster and faster and faster. And to me, the way I look at it, it's a beautiful time to be alive, and it's amazing and awesome that we get to be a part of it. That we're right in the trenches, and we're really.
Well, as they say, the only better day to be living other than today is tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah. Beautiful. That's perfect. All right. And before I let you go, I can't let you go without asking you. So, what did you choose as your top 3 companies from the list?
Okay. I think I would go with the things that I understand. So, one of the players I've chosen is mobile, which is the future of investment banking for me. And I think there is a lot of cost to be taken out from this traditional industry. It's oversized as we speak. So a disruptor that comes in, and this company might be a disruptor, would have the potential to gain significant market share if the quality of their product is strong. Also, it could be a candidate for a takeover from one of the existing investment banks. The second choice, and that is not necessarily as first, second, third, but as second within the third. It would be difficult actually to point out the first, second, third unless I meet them in person. But the second choice, it would have been the blockchain fund, again, in an industry. Like my background was 20 years institutional investor. So I would say that a company like this, it could be a momentum play. So if we believe that there is a recovery down the line for the cryptocurrencies, for example, and I think that's likelihood because the technology gets better, so the applications get better. Then a fund at the early stages of an industry like this, we're talking about the early stages. I mean, if Bitcoin is a performance as a mature market, if we were to compare it with ETFs or other financial instruments like shares and things like this, it's like a few hours in life compared with several hundreds of years. So a fund at that early stage that is solid can produce amazing results. But as I said, this is a momentum play. And the third is Smart Valor. There you play a team. I think they have a strong team, both in the advisory board, but also on the management of the company. And they doing something that I can understand. Tokenizing assets has something to say, especially if you create a mechanism where you can tokenize small capital companies where they have, generally speaking, less liquid assets, or you're going to tokenize some significant real assets. In the future, could be private equity, major elephant project like nuclear plants and dams and infrastructure like roads. You can tokenize that and create liquidity and recycle the invested capital. This is an amazing opportunity to be opened, which right now as a market is hundreds of billions. So I will go for those three.
The great choices, and I agree with you on the third one because everything needs to be tokenized, and a lot of people, as you come from the investment world, and everything is already tokenized in a way. It's just we need to really tokenize it.
Yes.
But yeah, that's a great choice, and all three were great choices. And again, thank you so much.
I'm just going to let you one thing, very important, because that will affect tokenization, as it seems that you have an interest in tokenization, is the stability. And people would look for a stability. That's why I believe the future lies with a stable coin, or a coin that provides stability by reducing volatility, and a mechanism at the back end that creates real value. And this is the reason why I joined Lapo as well.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's very interesting you said that. Well, let me ask you a question. Before I finish the interview, because now you intrigued me with something real quick. So you said that stable coins are something that you see as necessary. But what would back a stable coin? Because if we're trying to get rid of fiat, what would you say?
There are three ways. I'm going to go through very, very quickly for your audience. There are three ways to back a stable coin. One is through a basket of currencies or a major fiat currency. The basket is called board of currencies.
SDR, maybe like an SDR?
Yeah, it could be dollars. People would use dollars, Swiss francs, something like this. But here, I'll set the problem straight away. You're backing something which is weak with something which is strong. The fiat currency is strong in the assistance. People misunderstand the concept of pegging from the real world, where you peg the currency of one country with the currency of another country, but they forgot that these countries have got productive capacity. They create goods and services, they call GDP, and they link economies with the currency being the front end of the transaction, buy and sell of products and services between themselves. So this part of the equation is not reflected in a currency which pegs itself to fiat, which means in the event of a black swan, this peg would not most likely be sustained. Then you have the currencies which they peg themselves with a basket of other cryptocurrencies. And I call that like the debt experience we had 10 years ago, collateralized debt, where you pack debt, you slice it, and then you rename it, you give it a different grade, and then you sell it to people. So I would find that the packaging of cryptocurrencies to become your hedge, it's very dangerous. If the market goes down, your collateral will go down, which means that the relationship will break instantaneously, and you would be forced to make up for that collateral. Not a good situation. And then you have the fixed assets, which I think is the most real way to hedge and create a peg, because the real asset might be disassociated from a systematic and unsystematic risk when it comes to the actual cryptocurrency. And I would go for one of the real assets, preferably gold. And then you have to develop a mechanism that takes volatility out and converts it to real asset, and that's what Lapo does. That's why I created and joined Lapo.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it's a good thing I asked that question, because I agree with you. I think it's going to be hard assets. Something maybe traditional, could be gold, could be silver, could be property, could be things like that, could be natural resources. But at the end of the day, it's going to be I think it's going to be a mix of that, plus whatever the country or the area can also produce. Just how we used to have it back in before we lost the gold standard.
Exactly. And if someone pays a little bit more attention, they would see that many assets depreciate due to the inflation, like dollar, 2% every year, while an asset like gold, for example, does not depreciate due to inflation. And 7 out of 9 known black swans, gold outperformed. Dollar and other assets dreadfully underperformed. And this is the risk. During the vicious underperformance, the pegs break down.
No, yeah, I mean, these are all great points. And Athanasios, thank you so much for joining me today, joining all of us today. Thank you so much for the treasure trove of information. It was an amazing talk and an amazing interview. And I hope to, talk to you guys, talk to you again real soon.
You're very welcome. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Anytime. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget to join the Newconomy conference. All right? Thanks
Bye-bye,
again.
guys.
Bye.